Hey everybody, welcome to First Time Home Buyer Fridays. Woohoo! All right, it's a series of videos I'm going to start posting on Fridays, either previewing homes that first-time home buyers can buy in the area or explaining various aspects of the home buying process, specifically geared towards people who are looking to stop paying someone else's mortgage. All right, so why I wanted to start with this one, because this is probably one of the most potent things to look at. Should I rent or buy? Is it better to rent or buy? There's a little war on my Facebook page now with some people that are like, oh, I love renting. It's true. Look, renting has a ton of advantages. You have to do no maintenance. You never deal with the upset, the surprises, the leaky roof, or the backed up septic, or any of that stuff is not yours to deal with. You're paying for all that convenience. It's way more convenient to rent than it is to buy. All right. And a house is a money pit right up front. Let me just tell you, every house is a money pit. Every house is a money pit. A house will use every spare dollar you have. Okay. So why would you buy? Well, let's look. Okay. The number one reason why it makes sense to buy is because you are right now paying someone else's mortgage. You could be paying your own mortgage, meaning you could be building equity. Every dollar you spend on a mortgage to pay off your own mortgage comes back to you if you go sell that property later. It's the number one path for building real wealth in this country. Not only that, but we'll get into the tax benefits in the next episode, but you're actually afforded tax benefits for paying essentially the same thing as rent, a roof over your head. But I want you to break down the numbers, because it's not the answer for everyone. And this will show you clearly why buying is financially more advantageous than renting, okay, in most cases. So let's look at this. You can just use the Google machine and Google New York Times rent versus buy. This is a killer calculator. Super easy, very comprehensive. I love this calculator. And if you use it right, it'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So is it better to rent or buy? Let's look. Put in your home price. You slide the little slider here, your average home price for your area, okay? And it's calculating the number. If you can rent a similar home for less than this amount, it makes sense to rent. Don't draw any conclusions yet. Let me show you the website. But that's how this works. So if we look in Seattle, let's just say 655. That's around the median, okay? But not really where I put it. Let's just say 663. Fine. You find a house for 663. This is saying all other things being equal. Now let's look. How long do you plan to stay? 9 years. That's a pretty average length of time to spend in a house, 9 years. The less time you spend, the less in rent. Or sorry, the longer you spend, the less in rent, right? Or the shorter you stay, the more in rent. Okay, makes sense. So let's just say 9 years, because that's about average. So this is right there. What are your mortgage details? Your mortgage rate, actually 3.67. You're not getting 3.67 anymore. Let's say it's closer to 4.5. It's a little more realistic. Okay, so let's just say you got 4.50. Now it's saying if you can find the same house under 1989, it makes sense to rent. 20% down. Are you going to get 20% down or not? If you're doing a first-time home buyer loan, you're going to put zero down. Okay, that's $2,000 a month in rent. Okay, but somewhere in there, somewhere in there is what you're going to put down. Okay, let's just leave it. Let's put it at zero. It's your first-time home buyer. You're going to use a zero down program. You have $0 out of your pocket. Okay, 30-year mortgage length, pretty standard. What does the future hold? Okay, what's the predicted home price rate, right, versus rent growth rate versus investment return rate? So this is saying homes in Seattle are going to grow about 4% a year. Now, they had been growing 10% a year for the last 5 years. That ain't happening anymore. 4%, that's pretty realistic. Let's say 3.9%. Rent growth rate, rents are actually dropping in Seattle now. So let's just say rents are going to grow at 2%. Okay, let's say half. Okay, of what home prices grow at. Investment return rate. All right, well, this is a question. What can you do with your money if you put it in an investment? This is saying 4%. Okay, let's leave it there. Maybe you get more than that. Maybe you get less than that. with interest rates being what they are, I think 4% is probably a good solid starting guess. Inflation, it's been about 2% for a while. Let's leave it there. Taxes, that is the King County tax rate. That's fine. Marginal tax rate, let's leave that there, like where you exist on the tax rate scale. Closing costs. To buy a home, about 2%. To sell a home, about 9%. Maintenance and fees, $6,000 the first year. That's probably about right. Homeowners insurance, that's about right. Monthly utilities, ain't no one paying $100 a month in monthly utilities. Say it's closer to $250. There you go. All right. Monthly common fees. Let's not get a place with a common area. Renting cost. 1 month security. No, every place is going to make you pay 2 months. Okay, you're going to need the first month's rent and the last month's rent. Broker's fee. No one's using a broker. Renter's insurance. $360. That's about right. All right. Now, this is saying, all those things being that way, this is saying if you could find a place to rent for $22.85, you'd be better off dollar-wise to rent than own. Why? Because it's saying that at the end of the 9 years, you would have more money if you rented than if you bought. That's what this is saying. This is just dollars and cents. This isn't convenience. This isn't because you don't want to mow the lawn or deal with anything. This is saying you would have more money if you rented than if you bought at these numbers for 9 years. And here's the problem with that logic. Okay? Ready? This is assuming that you are going to take, let me just move my face. This is assuming you're going to take every dollar you don't spend on maintenance, every dollar you don't spend on down payment, every dollar you save by renting versus homeownership, because homeownership is more expensive. It's assuming you're going to take that money and invest it at 4%. Now, I don't know anybody who takes that savings and invests it reliably every day, every day, every day, every day, never missing a day, like a machine. This is a calculation. This is an algorithm. Nobody does that. You are unlikely to do that. Homeownership is forced savings. You're taking money that you would normally pay and spend, and you're putting it in a bank. What's the bank? The bank is called your house. Okay? When you go sell that house, it's going to be worth more than when you bought it. The dollars you spend in improvement will come back to you, and you won't be able to touch it for vacations or anything else. If you rent, are you really going to take, are you going to be reliable at taking all the money you're not spending on repairing the refrigerator, all the money you're not spending on property taxes, all that money, are you going to take that money and you're going to invest it reliably every day for the next 9 years? If you answer yes, then renting does make sense. If you answer probably not, and I do want an automated way to save money, like, my employer matched IRA, like I just mark it and it's a deduction out of my paycheck and it goes right into my IRA because it's automatic. I don't have to think about it, because if I had to think about it, heck, I wouldn't do it. This is an automated way to save money. Okay, this is automated, automatically putting money in your pocket. Okay, and frankly, in Seattle, if you could find an apartment for $22.85 that matched a $655 house, you'd be doing pretty good. So those numbers, go back and do this with your market, what it costs to buy and rent in your market, and then ask yourself the question: am I going to take every spare dollar that I don't spend on housing and invest it at 4%? And if the answer is yes, God bless you, go ahead and rent. If the answer is no, then buying and paying your own mortgage absolutely makes sense. Is it more expensive? Yes. Are you likely to get it back? Absolutely. In spades, you're likely to get it back. Way, way more money. This is why home ownership is the #1 path for wealth in this country and has been for a really long time. It's more expensive. There's a risk. I don't want to say it's better for everyone, but do this calculation and ask yourself that one question, because that question's not in this calculation. Are you going to save that money some other way? Okay, if the answer is yes, rent. If the answer is no, call me. All right, thanks. Let me know what questions you have. I'd love to talk to you about it. Talk to you soon. Talk to you next Friday for First Time Buyer Fridays. Bye.